With me I have Professor Gabriela Shalev, the former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations. Professor, thank you very much for joining us here on RT.
Thank you, Apollo.
You were recently quoted as saying that the United States will not veto the UN recognition of a Palestinian state come September. Why are you so sure of this?
I did not say that the United States is not going to veto. What I said is that the United States has their own considerations, and we should not act as if the veto is in our pocket, which it is not. We must do our best to avoid the resolution to come neither to the Security Council nor to the General Assembly. And I think we should not trust the United States to veto, but we should trust ourselves.
If Obama was not to veto the declaration of a Palestinian state, would he not face political pressure at home? I mean, after all, there is an election that he wants to win. You know, every politician is interested in continuing his way, but I think Obama really wants peace in the world, and especially in this region, which affects, in a way, the Middle East and the whole world in a way. So I believe that Obama is first of all concerned with the well-being and well-doing of his own people, but he's also interested in continuing the missions and the vision that he took upon himself when he took office. What is your reading of the relationship between Obama and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu? There were many who said that Netanyahu's recent visit there saw Obama backtracking on what he said and essentially becoming a puppet of Netanyahu.
You could see that there was not a lot of chemistry in this meeting, but I think not too much should be attached to this kind of music.
Would you say that the relationship between the United States and Israel is colder than it's ever been before?
I don't think so. Without the United States, we would be in a much more difficult position, not only because of the veto, but because of the support that we get from them. So I think the relationship, it's not only on the diplomatic or political level, it's also cultural, ideological. They know that we are so far the only or the most important democracy in the Middle East.
Do you not think Obama has lost credibility in the Arab world? There was so much hope when he came to power, and he certainly seems to have remained a very close friend of Israel, as you say.
I think that the Arabs or the Palestinians put a lot of hope in Obama and the Obama administration to be the honest broker. And I think they still see it this way. Just this morning, we were announced that Saib Erekat said that the Obama administration made it very clear that they are going to veto in the Security Council their request to become full members of the United Nations. So I know that they trust that Obama is adamant in trying to achieve peace in the region, and they know that he's trying to perceive himself as an honest broker.
Is there the possibility that the United States could veto the establishment of a Palestinian state and still the General Assembly would recognize it?
The recognition of the Palestinian state was already announced in 1988 by Yasser Arafat, and nothing happened. So this can happen again and again, and it will not gain anything to the Palestinians. What it can achieve is the continuation of the delegitimization of the State of Israel. And this is something that I think can be avoided only through bilateral talks.
Do you have faith that Netanyahu is serious about peace?
I have faith in him because for the last 2 years, when I served my country as the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, I watched very clearly not only what he said in the Bar Ilan first speech, which was 2 states for 2 countries, but also the way that he acted in freezing for 10 months the building in the settlements, which no government did ever before.
Why then do we hear so much about settlement building taking place despite the construction freeze?
There was not a continuation of the building in those 10 months, but in those 10 months what happened was that the Palestinians did not move, in spite of the fact that there was a freeze, which never happened before. There were no buildings except maybe sometimes for expansion, and still nothing happened. So it's not us to blame, it's the Palestinians who did not move for those a whole year, and no peace talks took place. And I also think the Americans also did their part in making the Palestinians sit on their hands. Abu Mazen said it in so many words. He said, Obama put us on a tree. He went down from the settlements, you know, the whole resisting on stopping or freezing the building, and I was left on the tree. This is what Abu Mazen himself said. So the freeze did not help. And for the last 2 years, or even more, since Cast-led operation, we did not have any peace talks.
Do you think Avigdor Lieberman, the country's foreign minister, is good for Israel?
He was appointed by a government that was elected in a democratic election. I know that many people think that he's not the right person to represent Israel in the world at what takes place now. But this is a decision that was taken by the leadership, by Netanyahu as the prime minister. I'm not going to comment on it.
The US President Barack Obama has publicly committed the United States to peace based on the 1967 borders. What is the benefit to him of saying this in public?
You know, the Obama administration, unlike a former administration, is very much engaging with the world, with the Muslim world, with the Africans. I could see the way that Obama's representative, Ambassador Dr. Susan Rice, the way that she acts at the United Nations, the way that she reacts, the way that she embraces, the way that she engages, and they really want to be an honest broker in the Middle East and not to be perceived, as they were for so many years, as being one-sided and supporting only Israel. I think this is his idea, and in a way this is what former administration said as well. But he made it very, very clear that this should be the basis for the coming peace.
Would Israel be secure within pre-1967 borders?
I think this is for our leaders and the defense minister to decide. I think we will get the guarantees that we need, and the Israeli army is very powerful and can protect us in any borders.
You have said that Israel's international status is at an all-time low. Do you think that this is because of its settlement building?
I said it looking objectively. I don't think it's us to blame. I think the Palestinians are targeting now Israel, and they have a strategy of delegitimizing the state of Israel. They failed in the wars. They failed in the economic boycott and cultural boycott. They failed trying the terror in the streets and the buses all over Israel. Now they have a diplomatic campaign against Israel, and I think they succeeded in showing Israel as the occupier, as the powerful power over the West Bank, and especially in Gaza, and the people and the suffer of the people there, which I do not want to belittle. But still, this is part of the strategy, and I think this is why we are being delegitimized. And I hope, and I know that only the peace talks, once they will be started, will bring us back to the right track and keep this kind of stop this kind of delegitimization of the state.
Should the Palestinians unilaterally declare a Palestinian state, what will Israel's reaction be?
I don't know. But, you know, some people here say that we can also take unilateral steps, like the disengagement. I know that all kinds of unilateral steps on our side or on the Palestinian side are going to harm and to be an obstacle to the peace in the region. I don't know how we will react, but I still hope that the Palestinians will understand that this kind of unilateral declaration will bring them nowhere. This is not the way to achieve what everybody wants, which is peace, or at least some kind of security in this suffering region.
The clashes that we saw recently along the northern Israeli border, do you think that this could be a precursor to what we're going to see in September?
You know, I heard a very impressive person, Ashraf al-Arjami, who is... he has some rank in the Palestinian diplomats and politicians, and he said that he's afraid that come September, and if there be the unilateral declaration, or if nothing will happen until September, the youngsters, the Palestinian youngsters, who look around and see what happens in the region, they may rise and there will be a third intifada. So this is something that I think also should be taken into account and should be prevented.
Do you think there's a possibility of an Israeli-Lebanon war?
Well, I hope that our army and our defense and our intelligence people will know how to avoid it, because war is something that nobody on each side of the border really wants or will gain anything out of it.
Professor, thank you very much for joining us here on RT.